Today we are joined by Fazia Mazhar. If Fazia had been elected in the last municipal elections, she would have been the first regional councillor in Kitchener of Muslim origin and a visible minority. Fazia, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Well, thank you so much for inviting me here.
No problem.
And what do I tell you? I came here about 18 years ago. I've been involved with the community in so many different roles in the past 18 years. I heard that you have been reading my website, my bio and stuff like that, so you probably know a little bit more about me than I know about myself. I haven't done any research for myself. So the reason I got interested in politics, there are a couple of different reasons. First of all, I come from a political family, so my father was a very, my father participated in politics since his arrival in Pakistan. So he ran for federal, local, provincial elections, and so his last political gig that he had was he retired as a federal minister of Pakistan. So I've always been very interested in politics. I grew up in Pakistan and then I came here. And actually my profession is community development. I'm a community developer. But community development and politics, they go hand in hand. So anything in feminism movement, there is a little phrase that we use, and it says personal is political. If we have a personal struggle, there is something political about it. And that's my interest in my connection with politics here, that anything that I see needs to be improved, needs to be changed, has a connection with politics.
That's definitely fascinating. In your view, why do youth and minority vote matter?
I think everybody's vote matters. We see youth and minority populations not participating in electoral democracy that much, and that's a concern for anybody who understands the importance of participation in electoral democracy. And why their vote matters is because participation is important, right? In electoral democracy, generally, if you participate, you have a weight, right, in decision making. So, for example, if I don't show up for voting, then it means I or the group that I represent is not that interesting, is not that influential in how politicians are going to make decisions. So I will use this example to make it a little bit better. So, for example, when it's time for federal elections or even provincial elections, you will see a lot of federal and provincial politicians visiting mosques and visiting, other places where people of different faiths and people of different ethnicities would congregate. However, for municipal elections, you would find very few municipal politicians actually doing that. And the reason is because they understand that from the statistics, we know that the least amount of participation in electoral democracy that comes from the minority communities is for the municipal elections. So if we don't vote, our voice doesn't matter, or at least people are not interested in reaching out to us. It's really important for us to vote, and vote in large numbers, both young people and also minorities. Then we see the other challenge of representation, right? So if we're not voting, either young people or minorities, then we won't see people like us representing us at the political level, right? So you can see the challenge. First, we're not voting, and then we're not able to see our representation there.
Based on the difficulties you've faced, what advice do you have for the youth and minorities?
So it's not necessarily about difficulties. It's more about what do you learn from your experience, right?
Exactly.
I think taking interest is your number one, that should be your number one priority, young people or minorities, taking interest in what's happening and looking at the challenges, looking at what happens in our day-to-day life and seeing how this relates to the political governance, and making sure that we understand that connection. It's really, really important. And taking the time to get involved in the community, and taking the time to vote, and taking the time to actually do research for the vote, thinking that voting is a privilege. So a lot of people become very happy and excited about voting because they think it's all right. This is really great. A lot of countries in the world do not allow their citizens to vote. So voting seems like, wow, this is a great right that we have, but it's also a privilege. So if we do not exercise that right, and if we do, then it's almost like we're not fulfilling our responsibility, our civic responsibility. And that's why it's important that we take interest in that. A lot of people are discouraged from voting, especially in municipal elections, because they think it's very difficult work, the ballot paper is really big, you have to vote for so many different, positions, and that discourages people a little bit. However, taking some time to understand what's going on, researching, and making sure that we vote, making it a point that we want to vote and going out and vote, I think that's really great. That's what I've learned from my experience, that our representation, or the representation that we've been talking about for young people, for minorities, cannot happen until we participate. Like in general, we participate. Representation is next. First, we need to be able to participate.
Okay.
And see the importance of participation.
Yeah. So, I would like to thank you for being with me today and for sharing your insight with us.
You're very welcome. I cannot wait to see the day when you will be running and I will be your free campaign manager.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All the best.
We would also like to hear from you. Your feedback is important to us all. Yes, it's true. Youth and minorities, your vote does matter. Thank you.